Hey everyone, welcome to episode 248 of the All Dolphins podcast. He is Omar. I am Poupar. This is a special edition for Sunday, March 17th. Happy St. Patrick's Day, Omar. You
Thank
celebrate
you. Did you know that's my middle name?
Patrick? I did not know that.
Saint Patrick, actually.
Really? Omar
Yes.
St. Patrick Kelly.
There's another word. There's another name in it before Saint Patrick, but yes, I have two middle names, and one of them is Saint Patrick. And I'm also part Irish. And I don't think you've ever noticed this, but I actually have freckles.
I have noticed it actually.
Oh, look at that.
How about that, right? How about
Yeah,
that?
how about that?
What's your other middle name?
Darren, since you want to let everybody know my whole government.
Well, you brought it. You kind of teased it. So
Now they're going to steal my identity. You wanted me to give them my social security number too?
okay, fine. Go ahead. This is a bonus episode. We weren't planning on doing anything, but we decided, what the hey? And we are gonna do a quick history lesson. Sorry, those who don't like it. And in honor of
Kitty says the kitty.
Exactly.
So the milk runs dry, I've learned, is the next thing. I don't know why that.
I have no idea what that means.
I have no idea where I got it from, and it makes absolutely no sense. But I've just said it my whole life.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say Tough Titty says the kitty doesn't. Okay. St. Patrick's Day related, because I actually looked it up very quickly before we started taping the Patricks in Dolphin history, and I put a tweet on saying should be unanimous that the best Patrick in Dolphin history is Patrick Surtain. The other Patricks who played for the Dolphins were Patrick Laird, Patrick Cobbs, both of them running backs, and then Patrick Turner, who was a wide receiver drafted in the third round. Yeah, he didn't pan out. Brian Hartline was selected a round later, and he turned out to be the much better player. And now he's like a coaching star on the rise at Ohio State.
I think he got his power taken away from him, though. Because Chip Kelly, Chip Kelly went to Ohio State, left his head coaching job, and went to Ohio State and became the offensive coordinator.
I did not know that.
Yeah. But there is a Patrick that I do have interest in free agency. I'm sorry, I keep holding up my daughter's play knife. Yes, we stab people over here, so you better make sure
if you disagree with our opinions, we're going
yeah. Patrick Peterson, who
Omar with that, Pete.
Oh, absolutely, no question.
No
question. I didn't even know he was released. I suspected he was going to be released just because I looked at his salary in Pittsburgh and I was like, he's probably going to be cut free. But then he wasn't cut free. But then things were happening in free agency and I didn't even pay attention to when the Steelers released him. He's a South Florida native. He lives here in the offseason. I think he would look phenomenal in a cornerback unit that features, or defensive back unit that features Jalen Ramsey and Kendall Fuller, and throw in Patrick Peterson, who I will say, I've seen great athletes in my lifetime.
You've only said it 18 times, but go ahead.
No, but trust me, when I say I've seen great athletes in my lifetime, I've never seen anything like Patrick Peterson. And we're talking Cam Wake, Brent Grimes. We're talking, Tyreek is right up there. Tyreek is probably. I saw Patrick Peterson do some phenomenal things against really, really, really talented player. And remember, Patrick Peterson and Tyreek came out in about the same time. Nobody was talking about Tyreek, but everybody was talking about Patrick Peterson.
Patrick Peterson came out 5 years before Tyreek.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. My bad. Damn, he's that old? I'm old. I'm really old. I'm a fossil.
Yeah. Well, you said it, not me. Patrick Peterson.
You're ancient, brother.
Patrick Peterson is going to be 34 in July.
Yeah. Still could play. Still could play.
This is where I have to reach out to my buddies in Pittsburgh. I did not see a ton of Steelers games, so I'll be honest with you. The Pro Football Metrics in terms of his coverage gave up 4 touchdowns, 91.5 opponent passer rating when targeted, which was his worst mark since 2020.
Yeah.
And in the interest of fairness, because we'll do all the other ones, even though, again, neither of those are gospel, but the player grades from Pro Football Focus for Patrick Peterson, he was not among the first 50 cornerbacks. Okay, maybe they have him as a safety because he's not showing anywhere.
Yeah.
So, again, but here's the issue with Patrick Peterson: is how much money are you going to give him?
$4 million. I'm not breaking the bank for a 34-year-old player. And trust me, he's probably trying to latch himself onto a title contender, as he should. He has not won a title, and if he was smart, he'd probably go latch himself onto Kansas City. That's what veterans of that age try to do, just to. I think he's had a relatively solid. I don't even know if he's Hall of Fame caliber. How many interceptions is he at
in his career?
Yeah. And anyway, it's not important. This is not what this episode is about. But
it's 36 career interceptions.
That's a lot of career interceptions.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's still an age player who's I think he's transitioning, trying to get into the media, but he's still going to take that check and continue to play in the NFL. As I would say, I would love to see him with the Dolphins just because he brings so much of that dog mentality that I think this team is missing, especially on defense. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, because more than likely it won't happen.
Yeah, except again, to me, the whole thing is it's a man crush. For you, it's like a man crush from 5 years back. I mean,
15 years back.
Okay, well, but you're getting 34-year-old Patrick Peterson. Could he help? Sure, he could help. But again, if it's going to take $4 million to sign him, I'd rather spend $4 million on a good on a guard or a good defensive tackle. Speaking of which, the Dolphins brought in, which is not going to happen anymore because they've just stocked up with so many guys. I don't think they're going to just keep.
They got guys. Do they have a player?
Correct, but again, they now have like 8 defensive tackles on the roster.
They have guys. Do they have a player?
I don't just. Dude, if they didn't think that any of those guys could play, that they were strictly all training camp bodies, I don't think that the Dolphins would.
I didn't say they were training camp bodies. Do you have a starter to put next to Zach Sealer? Name the starter you're putting next to Zach Sealer right now.
Dude, I don't have no idea.
Okay, exactly. I'm sorry. Give me. I know you already signed. If you would have signed Eric Armstead instead of these 5 bodies, then I'd be like, all right. Right now, Deshaun Hand and Benito Jones are probably going to start next to Zach Sealer, and neither of them wet my whistle. Sorry. And you still haven't addressed you've only got 1 pass rusher. You kind of need 2, if not 4, before October, when Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb are basically coming back. So this roster still has a ton of holes, ton of things to fill, ton of areas that are concerning to me. I know they signed Braxton Berrios to a 1-year deal that could be worth up to $3 million, and that kind of addresses the punt returner, kickoff returner, and maybe the slot position, maybe the number 4 receiver. But to me, there's still a glaring hole. I wanted an upgrade at receiver. I don't see one yet. And you lost.
It's March 17th, though.
I understand that. But I wanted one. I thought it was, I thought it was a top 5 need for this team. You have to do better than Braxton Berrios. You have to do better than Cedric Wilson.
Could the argument not be made that your upgrade at wide receiver technically,
it's Jonnu Smith?
It was Jonnu Smith.
Or Jody Fortson, who he's on alldolphins.com. I wrote a feature piece about Jody Fortson and how basically he served for 5 years as the understudy of Travis Kelce, who arguably might be the greatest tight end of all time. Arguably, if he wins a 4th championship and repeats, he might get it.
We're going to gauge the best tight end in NFL history by the number of championships that
I'm a ring counter.
Yes, you are. And
I've never denied that. So you act like you're surprised.
That you would. It's bad enough when we do it for quarterbacks, because now we're gonna do it with tight ends. I mean,
yes. When I'm thinking about the greatest and the standard, it starts with rings. What else are you playing for other than money? Is he not one of the
ultimate team sport? If you're going to talk about a starter in basketball, which with 5 guys where each guy has way more of an impact on the team's success than one
Would
22nd.
LeBron be in the conversation for the greatest if he didn't have rings?
Yes, he should. Yes, he would be in the
If
conversation.
he didn't have a ring.
Yes. God, that's a stupid argument.
Charles Barkley. Nobody's talking about him as the greatest. You know why?
Because he wasn't, and it wasn't because he didn't have rings. Because there were players who were clearly, by any trained and untrained eye, you could see would do more on the court for a team. Anyway, yes, absolutely. Travis Kelce's in the conversation for the GOAT at tight end. I'm not sure I'd put him ahead of Gronk, but that's me.
Okay. Gronk couldn't move at this point in his career.
Who could guard him, regardless of how limited he was in terms of his mobility? He still got open, still caught the ball, still nobody could bring him down, and still blocked like an offensive lineman.
Okay, I'll give you the blocking edge.
Okay. Anyway,
Gronk probably has more rings, doesn't he?
Gronk has a share of rings, but here's the other thing. Part of the reason that Gronk has so many rings is he played with Tom Brady. Part of the reason Kelce has 3 rings is he played with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, come on.
Yeah, hey, you know who's the number 1 tight end? Whoever has the most rings. So let's move on. At least I'm consistent. Give me that.
Yes, you're consistently weird about that, but you're consistent.
I'm a ring counter. What do you want from me?
Okay, I'm going to counter also your thing because you almost sound like you're pegging Jody Fortson as being this major weapon for the Dolphins in 2024. Can we just stop at he's a very intriguing prospect?
Yes,
who showed a lot as a rookie free agent for the Chiefs, who's battled injury for this time, and calling him an understudy when he played 19 games in 5 years is kind of a stretch.
How many touchdowns does he have in those 19 games?
What, 6?
4? A lot. 19 games, like it was a substantial amount, and I need somebody, one of those film warriors, to put together a highlight reel of Jody Fortson and his touchdown catches, so I could see it, so I don't have to fish it out.
Okay, so great, but so they used him, and it's interesting. He's massively intriguing, is what I want to say.
He is.
Okay,
former wide receiver, height, frame, size. I do have concerns about his blocking, but red zone weapon.
Correct. He may not be and okay. I also want to stop with this red zone thing where the Dolphins were so bad in red zone. They were not bad. They were very good in red zone. It was goal to go. It was goal to go.
You're right. I apologize. You are absolutely right. It is goal to go that they were bad.
Yes. Let's stop with the red zone. They were second in the NFL in the red zone. So it was goal to go. And inside the 10-yard line, absolutely put the dude on the field. Absolutely. But
you need weapons like it. What I find interesting is Nick Hicks to his trainer has dropped some gems of knowledge and hints from time to time, primarily, and he's really been obsessed with this tight end thing and tight end upgrade. And it makes me feel as if, and I know he's not speaking for Tua, that Tua might feel like that's the one area we need to significantly upgrade, because Mike McDaniels kind of has insinuated or hinted that that's the one area that we kind of feel like we need to upgrade. So the addition of Jonnu Smith and Jody Fortson, that seems to be the area that has been addressed substantially. Like, we've given this extra attention to get it to where we want it to go. And I want to say something. Marvin Allen was part of the chief staffs when they added Jody Fortson. So
GM.
Yeah, the assistant GM. So maybe this is a talent that they find a level of intrigue with. And I don't know him. I have not seen him run routes. I've not looked at the film. I'm going to get into the film work this week, and it's going to start with Kendall Fuller, so we can stop addressing the fact that Omar thinks Kendall Fuller sucks. I did not say that. Neither did Alan Poupard. We just addressed what the metrics were saying.
Some of the metrics.
Some of the metrics
are great.
Yes, some of the metrics. So it'll be interesting to see what Jody Fortson brings to the table. But I do, without a doubt, and I do not foot around it, if Braxton Barris is your number 3 receiver on this team, you're in trouble again. And I'm not being shy about it.
First of all, I don't know that it's that simple as A and then equals B. Again, it's 1 year up to 3 million, which is very low money for a guy who is a highly dependable returner. I have said on this podcast I would prefer having a returner with more home run capability. If it's Braxton who winds up doing the job again in 2020,
you have a returner with home run capability. His name is Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But
and actually, he's been on the podcast and he says he's missed returning, which I thought was just weird.
Okay.
Not that he's going to do that, or that I want him to do that, or that
right. That's the question.
The Dolphins for him to do that. No, unless they change the rules. Is a rule proposed for punt returns?
No, that has not been proposed. I don't believe.
Kickoff returns, was it proposed?
I don't believe so. It's not in the full list. We were going to get a full. They usually the NFL will send out a full list of proposals to be voted on at the owners' meetings, which are a week. They start a week from Sunday. But I don't believe I saw that. It's the one that replacing the onside kick, ability to challenge penalty calls on the last 2 minutes, and the other stuff like that. But I don't know that it's etched in stone that the Dolphins re-signed Braxton Berrios with the idea, here's your number 3 receiver, I think. And again, if we talk about that $4 million that you wanted to give to Patrick Peterson, why don't we give it to a wide receiver who can elevate that number 3 spot?
You know who's continuing to campaign?
Travis Landry, which is going to piss him.
No. New Orleans Saints.
Oh, Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas. Yeah. I don't know what the connection is. I have no idea. I don't know.
You mean to Tyreek?
And the Dolphins. Michael Thomas, his connection to Tyreek. Chad Ochocinco on his podcast, Nightcap, with the tight end,
Shannon Sharp.
Shannon Sharp. Chad advocated for Michael Thomas to be added to Dolphins. Everybody knows Chad is a big Dolphins fan.
Miami Beach High.
Yes, Miami Beach High, one of the greatest players I've ever been on the field with as a player. Whew, he was a phenomenal freshman.
Patrick Peterson was.
No, I'm actually been on the field with him, on the field, football field. Okay. Anyway, what was I going to say? I was going to say that Chad advocated for the Dolphins to add Michael Thomas, and Michael Thomas on Twitter basically let's get it done. He's just got to get healthy first. And so this is something that I don't know. And if Tyreek is advocating for it and Michael Thomas seems to be advocating for it, I think that they're going to, and he's a player who got released, right? He doesn't fit into the compensatory formula.
Correct. He did get released.
Mm-hmm.
So they post June 1.
Yeah. So I don't know if he lives down here in the offseason or just wants to relocate down here or just wants to be part of Miami's offense because he feels like he could be the missing ingredient. I don't know. But I think that that's something that we need to continue to monitor because you know how these things work in the NFL, where if there's smoke, there's generally fire.
Okay, here's the thing. Here, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. There was an issue last year about not feeding enough people because it was too Tyreek-centric.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Thomas strike you based on his history as the guy who's going to be okay playing a highly complementary role behind Tyreek Hill, or are we going to just feed Michael Thomas now to the further detriment of Jalen Waddle?
No, I think Michael Thomas would be the third. I mean, if you look at his numbers pretty much from last season, only scored 1 touchdown, caught 39 passes of 64 targets. So, he did play in 10 games. The numbers aren't that great and haven't been since his last great season was 2019 when he caught 1,700 yards and 149 receptions. So he has not been a monster. He hasn't caught more than 40 passes. Now, injuries were a major factor. He's 30, so he's in the discount bin. He's in the dented can bin. And truthfully speaking, and I don't shy away from this, I think that this team and this franchise should be building off dented cans. I think if you look at where they are, they don't have the money to be paying big time free agents, and realistically, Michael Thomas does address what they need, which is a big body possession receiver, red zone. I mean, goal to go target, and he fits the bill.
This is a guy who averaged, the numbers were down, but he's only played 20 games his past 4 seasons, because that includes 2021 when he missed the entire year.
Mm-hmm.
So if the Dolphins do sign him, let's not complain if he winds up being injured, because that's who he's been lately, and he's still
come on, it fits what they do.
Okay, but he's still averaged about 7 targets per game in those seasons. Which is not an insignificant number. And again, he's somebody who's not shy to voice his opinion when things are not pleasing him.
Neither was Chase Claypool, and he came here and shut up.
I don't recall that being an issue with him in Chicago and Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah.
Well, then this is where the part where I would say, well, how'd that work out with Chase Claypool here?
Hey, he was.
No, I know. I mean, he wasn't an issue, but it wasn't like the Dolphins got anything out of it. Anyway, my bottom line is I don't know how crazy I am about them. That's the bottom line. I get, to me, you're writing a really, really big name, a guy, again, who's had a lot of injuries and who's not necessarily been
productive the last 3 years.
Not productive, but a guy is it going to be is it going to be a seamless?
When has Mike McDaniel been shy about managing big egos?
You are correct. Does that mean that I have that I can't have any reservations about it?
I mean, I just think you're being an old fuddy-duddy. Like, let's.
There's nothing new. I mean,
let's add some divas. Let's add some dogs. Let's get some guys who can bite. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. I would like Kendall Lamb to be re-signed, but I don't ask for much.
Okay, I'll take Kendall Lamb over Michael Thomas.
$4 million Lamb.
That's fine. The note history has shown.
History.
By all means, please somebody prove me wrong, because as if you guys needed an invitation to do that. Normally, when you just go out there and go fishing for big names, regardless of circumstances, doesn't necessarily pan out all that well. I think the idea is more of getting guys who fit very well, who are very useful pieces, as opposed to getting the big names, even if you get them at a bargain.
I'm not asking for big names. I'm asking for players that
Michael Thomas is a big name.
It was a big name. I'm asking for players that fit the mold of what this team needs, which is toughness, physicality, some size at wide receiver. I don't even know where he is from an athleticism standpoint, but that, I you know who Tyreek is, you know who Jalen Waddle is, and you know who Braxton Berrios is. Neither of them bring you toughness, size, and physicality.
Neither do, if we're going to be honest about it, neither do Jonnu's. No offense, I'm not saying you're not tough. I'm saying that your calling card is as a yak guy and as a receiving threat. That's Jonnu Smith. Jody Fortson is a tight end who's a former wide receiver. The new center of the Dolphins added, Aaron Brewer, is a guy whose forte is athleticism and mobility, and not a pile driver, sledgehammer type of guy at center. So it looks to me like what the Dolphins have done on offense is not turned toward a little bit more physicality, is they've just increased
who they are,
increased it to the point where at some point they hope, I guess the idea is, we will be so fast and with so many different options that if a couple of guys slow down at the end of the year, we have more things to hit you with, but it's still going to be about finesse, misdirection, speed, quickness, and all that.
No bueno for me, sir.
But am I wrong
no, you're right. You're right in your assessment, and I don't like it. And I'm not shy about saying I don't like it. It's cute, but in January, it's going to rear its ugly head, as it usually does. And then you're going to wonder why you keep getting punked. Well, it is what it is.
Why didn't you speak up when Mike and Chris asked you, though?
Yeah, I did. I said go get Derrick Henry. God damn it. Listen, let's address the Jerome Baker swap with Jordan Brooks. Seattle signed Jerome Baker to a 1-year deal for $7 million. I think that's relatively fair for Jerome. I'm glad that he's going to go to a new organization, get a fresh start. Jerome's a good player, so and
He's a good dude also.
Yeah, very reliable starter. So, who won that linebacker swap?
I like. I have zero issue with the Dolphins move here. I kind of liked it, and again, they got Jordan Brooks. I don't know. I'll have to look what his cap number is for 2024. Jerome's cap number was 14 million. So they dropped a cap number for a player who I think clearly has more upside. So
yeah,
that's a win.
They could have brought back Jerome. Not to say that they would have, but they could have brought back Jerome on but that would have been a $7 million cap hit. So, or as much as $7 million, because I would be shocked if that deal is really $7 million.
Purely in terms of the player, also, I think Jordan Brooks has more upside. I like the swap there. Brooks' cap number for year one is 3.9.
Yeah.
So, which is
and I believe he's the only player in the Dolphins' new salary structure that gets a second year in terms of guaranteed money, which is a little bit very interesting. Quite
way
interesting.
More guaranteed. He's got 6.5 guaranteed next year.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I like the swap in this, and this is understanding that Jerome Baker was a solid starter for the Dolphins for 6 years. I think Jordan Brooks has some major upside, and I like the swap.
Definitely.
I do.
So we're heading into week 2 of free agency. What are the areas that you feel this team still needs to address moving forward to sort of take that next step? And in my opinion, the next step is to actually win a playoff game.
Before I answer that, let's take care of a couple of other news items. This is from Sunday morning. Noah Benagany signed a 1-year deal with agreed to terms with the Washington Commanders. Dan Quinn, who was the DC in Dallas, now the head coach in Washington, brought him over. So obviously liked what he saw, even though Noah didn't get a lot of playing time with the Cowboys. And then John Jenkins, if you remember him, he's had 2 different stints with the Dolphins. He visited the Dolphins on a free agent visit. That's okay. Well, very well worded. He was on a free agent visit to the Dolphins last Wednesday. Talked about possibly bringing him back for a 3rd stint. Instead, he wound up rejoining the Raiders for a 1-year deal. I'm looking here for the financial terms. And this was done. He visited before the Dolphins turned around and added Benito Jones. Would have been kind of the equivalent in terms of the salary. John Jenkins is a good, solid veteran. So looking for numbers here, I'm not seeing it. It wasn't a huge deal.
Minimum salary, probably $2 million. 1 year, $2 million.
I may have seen 3, but somewhere around that. So, yep.
Really?
No, he's a good, solid veteran, good mentor for young guys, good run stuffer. Props to the Raiders.
And he's going to be playing with
Christian Wilkins.
Christian Wilkins, yeah.
There you go. So me on my to-do list heading into week 2, I think we still need to have bodies at wide receiver. Dolphins still have 3 now. Unrestricted free agent at wide receiver, River Craycraft, Robbie Chosen, who made a free agent visit to the Dolphins on Friday. And then
Chase Claypool.
And Chase Claypool.
You want Chase Claypool come back? Would you kick those tires again?
Here's the thing. Yeah, but we are not privy to seeing practice during the regular season.
Yes. I would love to see practice during.
Correct. So we don't know what he looked like.
Correct.
If the Dolphins saw enough, yeah, he's still an intriguing prospect. He will always be an intriguing prospect because he is
big.
A good dude. He's a big target at wide receiver. If the Dolphins don't bring him back, that tells you, or don't even entertain the idea of bringing him back, that tells you they don't like what they see in practice and they don't want another second go at it. So.
I heard from players it was all right. It was nothing special.
Yeah.
So,
and again, this is a guy who's been 3 teams in 3 years in the NFL after being a 2nd-round pick.
And he could go back to Pittsburgh right now if he wanted to, but obviously they're not interested.
No. No, they're not. Can't
The,
imagine.
Pittsburgh, those moves, you like it? No like it?
Very, dude. You can get a quarterback who's 2 years removed, or 3 years removed from being like the eighth pick in the draft, and does have some upside, which he may or may not ever reach for the price that they gave up. Yeah, I like them. And Kenny Pickett. I was told early on, and I was told several weeks ago that the Steelers were all in. They were not about to close the door on Kenny Pickett, and they did a 180. I mean, bad, and by several different people. And they did an absolute 180 of like they soured on him. I saw some moxie from Pickett as a rookie, even when he played against the Dolphins. Remember that Sunday night game? And Omar, I'm dying to know because I can't tell what your feelings are about Kenny Pickett. And
Yeah, I'm good.
no, I mean, but then he took a step back last year. I mean, he was brutal last year.
He wasn't good his rookie year. He wasn't good. I don't know why people.
He showed moxie at times.
Okay.
He showed a lot of moxie at times and there was a storyline in Pittsburgh, I think maybe up until the middle through the first half of last season, maybe, of like, are his numbers so good in the fourth quarter and his numbers so bad in the first three?
Because he's always playing from behind in the fourth quarter. Anyway, just a guess. Listen.
Okay.
Pittsburgh is. I've felt Pittsburgh was a quarterback away from being a very good team, a team in the AFC that people had to respect, pay attention to, and be accountable to. They've got one of the best head coaches in football. Now with Russell Wilson, who I'm not a huge, massive fan of, especially now that he's aged, and I don't think he's athleticism can bail him out anymore. And then Justin Field, guy who just uses his athleticism to bail him out. I like their options. Now, the question is, they got to get coaching, and they got to have somebody who can get the best out of those two quarterbacks. And we'll see. But this isn't a home run for them, but it does get them in the game, in my opinion. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But
what I would say, and this is the last thing on Pittsburgh, because we're not doing an all Steelers show. My buddy Noah does an all Steelers podcast. Again, they could be dangerous, but it's not like the AFC is not completely stacked. I mean,
yeah,
like crazy. And especially now, it looks like Aaron Rodgers is not going to be running for vice president. So I guess he'll be able to devote his attention to playing quarterback for the Jets. And the Jets, when behold, actually made some moves to beef up their offensive line. I don't know why they felt the need to upgrade their offensive line, but here we are. They did that. Hashtag sarcasm.
Yes. Well, we will be back Monday on the All Dolphins podcast. You know how we do it. We're here all week. We're here giving you free, no paywall content. You don't have to subscribe. You don't have to be charged monthly just to see our stories. Alan Papard writes 12 stories per day. I occasionally chip in from time to time. And you know how to find the podcast, All Dolphins, on every single audio platform, but we prefer you watch it on YouTube because that makes us the most money. If you just click it every day and let the ad run, we love you. We appreciate you. And thank you for coming. We will see you on Monday.